Hey folks, Josh with Shoe Photography here. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I turned my garage from looking like this into a YouTube studio that looks like this. Okay, so now we're back in the garage. I've got the Corvette cleaned out, as you can see, and now we're gonna start planning to put together this backdrop, okay? So we already went shopping and we got our tongue and groove, but one of the things that I didn't wanna spend a whole bunch of money on was other lumber to create this frame. So what I decided to do was look around the house and see what I had. Well, I had a couple of old mattress box springs from an old king size bed that the wife and I have, and I decided that I was gonna tear those apart and take the frames out and use those as the frames for this backdrop. What I did, so what was once a mattress box spring is now just a wooden frame. So it's already got some cross pieces. It's already got a bunch of wood that I can attach this tongue and groove to. One of the things is that there's still a bunch of staples and some foam and fuzz that's still attached to this, but I want a clean surface for these boards to go across. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is start taking all of these off, and then we'll lay them on the ground and we'll lay the tongue and groove across them and kind of see where I may need to make some cuts, because what I decided I wanted to do is make it to where this will be portable and I can move it out of the way if I need to use my garage as a garage. I can separate it into two pieces. I'm gonna put it on some casters so we can move it around. That way I can still use my garage as a garage when I need it and use it as a studio when I don't. I'm gonna get this stuff cleaned off and we're gonna get back to it. Okay, so I have laid out all of the tongue and groove boards on my frames from the box springs, and now I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do this. So what I did was I kind of just tacked down all of the corners and all of the edges so that I could get an idea of what this wall is going to look like. So I stood it up and realized it's a little heavier than I was expecting. And so my concern is going to be how I'm going to get it to stand on its own. So before I make my cuts and before I mark out my cuts, what I'm going to do is I've got some 2x4s that were already pre-cut from another project I had. And I'm going to try and figure out some sort of foot and pedestal system that I will feel secure with and that I can put the casters on so that I can roll this thing around. So I'm going to try and figure that out before I make my cuts, because I feel like once I make those cuts, it could kind of mess with the balance of each of these panels. So I want to try and get the foot thing figured out first, and then I'll move on to the cuts. So let's see how it goes. I got the wall standing temporarily. I have the feet and the casters on it. I wanted to see how the wall was going to stand on its own before cutting it. Right now it does feel a little top heavy to the back, but as you can see, it's standing by itself. And you know, all in all, pretty sturdy. You know, I can touch it and it'll wobble a little bit, but it's standing on its own. So I'm happy with the way that it's going. As you can see, I didn't buy enough boards to finish the vertical of it, but the majority of the time I'm going to be sitting at my desk, you know, with the camera facing me, and so you won't ever see the bottom of it, or I'll just figure out a way to cover it, like with a desk or some drawers or something like that. But the wall is up. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to cut this At first I wasn't going to cut it down the middle, but I believe I have a solution to cut it straight down the middle and have it look good when I stain it. So this is the wall, and let's see how it. As you can see, I have the legs just temporarily clamped on, but this is all I did. I took a 2x4 and some smaller pieces of a 2x4, and I measured them and got them to where they'll sandwich the wall. And eventually what I'm going to do is bolt them together or screw them together. I haven't decided. But then I have the little casters down there, and it rolls pretty nice. One thing that I realized that I should have mentioned, so I'll mention it here, is when you're buying the wood, always over project so you don't have to go back out and hope to try and find something equal, especially if you go into, you know, like the used market or into the bargain section at Lowe's like I did. Like I said, the 2x4s I used for the feet, I already had. They were from another project, so I didn't have to go and get any of that. But if you're gonna be doing something like this, you'll need to get. Okay, so the wall is back together. It's flush, it's even, and all of that. Obviously the saw mark, you can see, especially with the sun coming back behind it and with no stain, it's super bright. But what I did have to do to make sure that I get these things perfectly level was adding these 2x4s across these 2 feet. What I did was I pulled it perfectly tight as I could get it on this. I pulled the 2 feet as tight as I could together to get that as close as I could, and then I screwed holes on both sides and put big bolts through them. I just had the bolts laying around again, and so yeah, so what I'm looking at doing, right, to make sure that this wall is going to be as flush, as straight as it can when I put it back together every time. So that's more of a guide. I could just let it sit there, put the clamp up there at the top, put a clamp up there because they do wobble a little bit differently. One thing that I'm working on right now is the stain, to see what the stain might look like. So I've got a couple of test batches back here. Okay, so here are a couple of test patches on the back of it. I still want to do one more pass on that one to make it even darker. And obviously this is the bright side of the backdrop, so it will probably be even darker than this on the other side. I haven't figured out what kind of lighting and stuff I'm gonna do, but just looking at the stain, I wanted that kind of grayish blue color, and it looks really, really cool in this wood grain. It's just super, super nice before and after. So I really like this color, and I'm gonna see what it looks like after I put it. I'm gonna put another coat on that top one, see if I like it, and then after that, I'm gonna stain this entire thing. Well, this is the end of stage 1. I've got the wall built, I've got it stained, I've got it standing, I've got it cut. So now it's 2 pieces, I can move it out of the way, and it's ready to go. So now we're going to bring over my desk and start getting the camera stuff situated. Okay, so my desk is here, I am here, the wall is there. Yeah, we're just checking out what it's gonna look like. So obviously this is my desk. It's not a very large desk. Right now I have an ultra wide 20mm f1.8Z on my Nikon Z6 II, and that's what I'm testing to see what focal lengths I'm gonna need to go, distance to the camera, and all of that. I like this. Obviously it's too wide, because you can see all of the crap around me. So obviously I'm going to need to go to a more narrow focal length. Starting to look pretty good. What do you think? I mean, this table, it almost looks similar to the backdrop, doesn't it? Almost looks like I'm engulfed in this whole thing, but I like it. I'm gonna throw on, I think I'm gonna just throw on a 50. If I throw on a 35, I think might still be too wide. So I'm gonna go grab my 50 millimeter and see what it looks like. Be right back. Forgot that I let my niece borrow my 50 millimeter, so I didn't have that. So I decided to make it easier on myself, and I grabbed the 24-70 2.8 Nikon Z lens to do this test. So right now it's at 35 millimeter. What I'm going to do, and it's pretty close to cutting off everything but what's in the background. Obviously I have a lot of space left on my desk, so what I think I'm going to do is scoot the camera back, zoom it out to 50, and then get it to where it's a more centralized thing. And I know, like right now, the top of my head is cut off, but I will fix that. But let's see what it looks like when I zoom out to when I zoom out to 50. This is 50 millimeters, and I think it's pretty much perfect. I like where the camera is positioned. I like how I look. I'm looking at myself on my phone, Inception. Looking at myself on my phone, remotely recording on the Z6 II. So yeah, I really like this. These lines here are the light from back behind this. Obviously you can see some light over here, which is a reflection of the other garage door, but you can see a little bit of light peering through some of these cracks. At first I thought that I would leave the one above my head, but it's pretty distracting. So I like the way that this is set up. I like the background. Obviously the lighting is way too flat on me. So I think we're gonna move on to lighting next. I have an idea for a DIY LED video light softbox that will be a budget-friendly option. I think in total it's like $45. That includes the softbox and the lights. I think it'll be pretty interesting. So if you're interested in looking at that, stay tuned. It'll be coming up after this. So as a photographer, I have tons of lights. So I have a Godox 8600, I have an 8300 Pro, I have a couple of 8200s. However, but for this, I wanted to do something that was specifically for in here. I didn't want to have to keep, putting up and taking down my lighting equipment for this little studio, right? So I had an idea, and I've seen a bunch of DIY projects for LED video lights and all of that good stuff here on YouTube. But what I had an idea to do, because people are doing like the pie dish stuff, but what I wanted to do was have an actual softbox with LED lights. So what I decided, because I had this extra Godox Octabox that I ended up not liking for my photography because it was too light. Came in a pack of 2. I think it was like $30 for a pack of 2. So for this Octabox, it was only about $15 for this one. I'll get you the exact cost on this, but it was only like $15 for one, but I got the pack of 2. But I mean, it works. It's a large Octabox. So what I decided was to take some LED lighting and I'm going to put them into this, and this is going to be my studio light. Now, I don't know how bright these are gonna be. The concern is that these are not gonna be bright enough to give me the look that I want. But we're gonna try it out anyways, see if it works out. Maybe it'll work out for you, and maybe it'll work out for me. Basically what I have here is a 10 meter, 32.8 foot string of LED lights. So my plan is to put these inside the Octabox and kind of weave them back behind the umbrella. So this is an umbrella style Octabox. Kind of show you guys. Okay. So here it is, right? So as you can see, it's large, right? So what I'm gonna do is string these LED lights back behind all of these arms. Since it's like that, it should keep them in place, especially when it's open, it'll keep them in place. The way that this thing is designed, normally your Octabox, you've got an opening out the back for your light to come in this way. But what I'm gonna do is put the lights all the way around on the inside facing each other, and I'm hoping that there will be enough light once I get all 32, almost 33 feet in here. So I'm gonna start putting this together and we'll see how it looks. Okay, so I've got all 10 meters of these LEDs in here. It's really not a lot. I mean, it's 4.5, 5 laps around. So let's see what it looks like. This kit came with a controller for dimming and brightness. Ooh. That actually does get pretty bright. I'm impressed. That is a lot brighter than I thought it was going to get. So now that we've got that on there, I'm gonna put the diffusion material on it and set it up, and then we'll play with it with me in my seat. Let's see what this light looks like with me in here. Okay, so right now it's currently off. Wow, that's only about half, and that's full. Wow, this is actually pretty darn bright. Let me see what I can do as far as exposure. So I'm gonna cut this real quick. So this is at full brightness at the settings that I had. I don't remember what those were, but I know it was like 1/60th of a second, I believe ISO 520 and at f1.8. So I'm gonna bring that down and see where we're at. Okay, so this is with the light at full power. It's just over an arm's length away, just out of frame. And I was able to bring my exposure down. So I was correct. I was at 1/60th of a second, f1.8, and ISO was at 560. This is now at ISO 200. So it's the same settings, 1/60th of a second, f1.8, but at ISO 200. And I really like the way that this looks. I did not think that it was gonna look this good. I did not know that it was gonna be this bright, but this looks good. What do you guys think? Do you guys like the way that this light is? Here, I'll give you a little bit of catch light. Can you see it? Man, that looks good. This is cool. I mean, it's super soft. It looks great, and it's bright enough. I mean, obviously it's not super bright in my garage right now, but oh man, that looks good. What do you guys think? Let me know down below if you guys like this, if you guys think this is a good idea. I mean, hell, I sure think it is. First, I wanted to kind of like make a lattice and go underneath all of the bars, but that was taking forever and it kept like binding and twisting the LED strip. So I don't want that to ruin anything, or I don't want it to be ruined. So what I decided to do was just start peeling off the sticky stuff from behind the light strip and put them in there. So I'll show you guys kind of what that looks like. How these were put on and how I have it. Right now I just have it temporarily. I've got an old light stand that I had just sitting around. I have extra clamps and stuff. I'll end up putting a clamp in here and make it a lot more sturdy. Right now it's literally just sitting on here and I can spin it around and stuff like that. But you know, this light looks really, really good for being as inexpensive as it is. So the thing I like about this softbox here is that it is made like an umbrella, super light, and you can really position it however you want, and it looks really good. But it has this opening here on the side where you can put a light stand through, and like I said, you can get a regular just umbrella clamp to put right in here. Right now, just for testing purposes, I have it just sitting and resting up there, but I am thoroughly impressed with this. What do you guys think? I definitely want to add some sort of backlight or some sort of lighting back behind me, kind of give it a little more depth. But I mean, I am impressed. This is cool. This light here, I think I'm gonna put 2 of these back here. It's way too bright, so I think what I might do is get some spray paint in different colors and kind of see how that goes. It'll cut down some of the light, also add a little bit of different color, because I believe this is the same color temperature as what the video light, or the light I just made, is gonna be. So I wanna add some contrast, some probably contrasting colors. So we'll see what it looks like. I have a plan in place to adjust the lights or the light that I had hanging up over here. I also made a hole in the wall over here so I can put the cord through going back there for the other side. Now, these are the lights that I got. They were eBay lights. They're just an LED strip that just goes along the center of this. You plug it in and bada bing, bada boom, you got a light. But obviously, as we saw in the other one, it was way too bright and it matched too close to this, and I wanted some contrast. So what I did was, so this came in a set of 4. So I have 4 of these, but I'm only gonna use 2. So what I did was I was able to remove this end, slide this diffusion panel off, and as you can see right here, I spray painted them. So what I did was I did the traditional orange and teal. So I haven't tested these out yet, but I wanted to show you kind of what the light looked like before by itself. And then I'm gonna put these on the other 2 that I took them off of, put them back on, put them back together, and then hang them up and turn them on and see what they look like. Okay, so here I have my orange and teal lights back in the back, testing it out, see what it looks like. It definitely brought the brightness down and added some color. What do you guys think? Do you guys like having these back there? But this is just a start. So this is essentially what my YouTube backdrop and studio is going to look like. I'll go ahead and take a picture from behind the camera so you can kind of see my full setup with it here in the garage. What do you guys think? I mean, is this something you guys are looking to do? It was pretty easy. I mean, this has been, you know, just off and on the last 2 days, and I'm pretty much done. The next thing we're going to focus on is audio. Audio is very important when it comes to making videos. You want to be sure that you can be heard and heard well, and you don't have a bunch of distraction in the background. Now, obviously, this whole video, I've been mic'd up. I have the Synco wireless lavalier microphone that I've been using to film this whole series. And that's because I need to walk around, I need to move around. One of the things that I know is that this is not the best microphone, but what I want to do is see what will work best here in the garage. Now that it's complete, I know there's probably some echo and all that stuff. So now that I've gotten the wall complete, my desk is here, my light's set up, we've done all of that, now we need to focus on audio and see whether I want to continue using a lavalier microphone like this, or whether I want to put some sort of boom microphone up and over here. So we'll do some tests. I have several different microphones and microphone systems that I'm going to attempt to use and see what we think sounds best to round off and complete this entire project. So stay tuned. We are going to see what the audio quality is between this, the Rode VideoMic Go, as well as the Movo VXR10 microphone. So these are going to be the exact same settings in the camera. So I'm going to do several tests. I'm going to test each of these microphones plugged into the wireless transmitter that I'm also using. So I'm going to do the Synco wireless system, but instead of using the lavalier microphone, I'm going to plug each of these into the transmitter as well and see how it sounds. A microphone stand right here, to which I am going to position a little bit closer, just outside of frame with the microphone pointing towards my mouth, and see what the audio differences are. This is the audio from the Synco wireless lavalier system and microphone. This is the audio from the Movo VXR10 plugged into the Synco wireless transmitter. Unfortunately, it looks like the Rode VideoMic Go does not work with the Synco wireless transmitter. I've tried everything I could think of. I have the Rode VideoMic Go on top of the camera directly plugged in. Obviously, there's going to be more echo and probably going to be a lot quieter. So I found a longer cable and I plugged the Rode VideoMic Go directly into the camera using the longer cable, but I have it on the microphone stand that I used for the Movo VXR10. This is the audio quality from the Rode VideoMic Go plugged directly into the camera on the microphone stand. Well, this has been a really fun project, and we're here at the end. After all of my testing, I realized that if I plug the Rode VideoMic Go directly into the camera here on the boom arm, it sounds the best. And there's a lot less possibility of me scratching or my chest hair rubbing into the lavalier microphone. Now, I hope you guys have gotten something out of this, and if you guys are looking to do anything like this, feel free to give me a comment down below. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are, what you guys like and don't like about this setup. But honestly, I think it's probably the perfect little setup for YouTube. I'm going to start doing a bunch more reviews on some of the gear that I have. I just wasn't comfortable with doing it in front of a flappy cloth backdrop. I wanted it to look more professional. So that's why I did this. Throughout this video, you've seen screenshots of some of the stuff that I have used. If you have any questions about anything that I didn't cover in that, please let me know down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. One thing that I did notice was that it's been a while since I purchased some of the equipment, like the Octabox and the LED light strips. The light strips have almost doubled in price since I purchased. They were only like $17 when I purchased them, and it was $43 for the two softboxes. So the prices have gone up, but just keep a lookout. If it's something you're looking for, look for sales and all of that stuff. Again, if you guys have any questions about anything that I did in here, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you like what you saw and you want to see more of the stuff that I'm going to be doing, please subscribe, give the video a like, and share with anybody that might be interested. Thank you. Josh with Shua Photography.